You know how to type on a keyboard? I do. I learned in grade 9, grade 10, high school. Do they even teach typing anymore? I don't know. What I do know is we're doing a fast break devotional here. It's Sunday. You can see the sun shining out there. It's the afternoon. We just got home from church. I had me one burrito and a few French fries. Yeah, I love my junk food. Let's turn in our Bibles. Got my big glasses. Got my big eyes. Go to Colossians chapter 3. And let's read from verse 18 to the end of that chapter. And today, this is day 185, called Contagious Faith. In Colossians 3:23 it says, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for men." The Bible also says that when you're working, don't work to please your boss, work to please God. Because if you work to please God, you're going to please your boss as well. I've heard stories of many Christians having favor at their workplace because they were working under the Lord and they were some of the best workers their employees had ever seen. So that's the way to do it. It's good for your testimony. It's good for your reputation as well. So whatever you do, do it to the best of your ability. And of course, a lot of times God's going to take over because we can't do many things on our own. But when it comes to putting into things into your work, like your energy and your efforts and all that stuff, do it well because it makes God blessed and it gives a good testimony of the Lord as well. All right, shouts out. Sister Faye, Sister Ricky, who's watching, Sister Valerie, Sister Joyce, Sister Carol, who's been enjoying the videos. God bless you. Hope you like this one as well. Brother Jimmy, who's been watching a lot of these as of late. And Brother Mickey, too. And all the Crossfire Warriors, Brother Charlie, and all the rest. All right, Colossians 3, starting at 18. Ooh, some of the women don't like this. "Wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands as is fitting in the Lord." And I sometimes say this half jokingly, but it's true. Notice, women, wives, it says submit yourselves to your own husband. It doesn't say to submit yourself to another husband, to your own husband. Does this mean that you're a doormat? Your husband can walk all over you? No. Whenever important decisions are made around the home, the husband and wife need to get together, consult with each other, come to a satisfying conclusion, and then the husband makes the decision. The problem with many marriages is that the husband won't step up and do his role, and then the wife has to take over and do it for him. And that's out of order, but unfortunately that's the way it is, because we live in a society today, especially, and I'm not going to talk about the world, because the world's going to be what the world is going to be. But in the church, we have a bunch of lazy Christians now, especially the men. They don't want to be the husbands and fathers that God called them to be, partly because they don't know this. They don't know what the Bible expects of them, and also because they don't want to put the effort into it. But wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands, as is fitting in the Lord. Husbands, love your wives, and do not be bitter toward them. And the Bible also says to love your wife as you love yourself, but also the way Jesus loves the church, that's the way you should love your wife. Now, you are to love your children too, husbands, but your children are not your spouse. Husbands, your children are not your wife, therefore you love your wife before the children. As you should know, Jesus said when two come together, husband and wife, they become one flesh, so they're one. So that makes perfect sense. It's in unity with the Bible. Husbands, you're one with your wife. You love her as Christ loves the church. And then your children come next. You have to put in the effort. Children, obey your parents in all things, for this is well-pleasing to the Lord. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, lest they be discouraged. Servants, obey your masters in all things. Or, let's make it a little bit more modern. Employees, obey your employers in all things according to the flesh, serving not only when they are watching as the servants of men, but in singleness of heart, fearing God. So that's what I mentioned earlier. And whatever you do, do it heartily, as for the Lord, and not for men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the reward of the inheritance, for you serve the Lord Christ. But he who does wrong will receive for the wrong which he has done, and there is no partiality. All right, again, contagious faith. I think of Smith Wigglesworth. I believe that that man had a contagious faith. He loved the Lord. He lived, breathed, slept Jesus, and it rubbed off on other people. It was contagious. We just had a stomach bug run through here last week, and it was very contagious. That's not what you want to be contagious. You want Jesus in you to be contagious on everybody else. Genuine, heartfelt Christianity is contagious. If you enjoy a life-altering relationship with God, that relationship will have an impact on others, perhaps a profound impact. That's one of my favorite words. I try to use different words in my vocabulary. I'm trying to bring back words that I used to use. Even languages are becoming too simplistic. Trying to use big words. Simplistic. Too simple. I believe that if you have a native tongue, which of course everyone does, those who can talk, I believe you should know how to speak it, how to use a good vocabulary, how to spell. Of course, the educational system's not very good. They dumb down their system to dumb down the students. But that's no excuse. I think parents should be teaching their kids things even when the school won't. But anyway, are you genuinely excited about your faith? Yes or no? Not just are you content, are you excited about it? And do you make your enthusiasm known to those around you? Or are you a silent ambassador for Christ? You're supposed to be a representative of Jesus, but how can you be one if you're quiet? Sometimes there's a place for being quiet. There are times when people talk far too much when they should be quiet. So silence does have its place, but not when it comes to preaching the gospel. God's preference is clear. He intends that you stand before others and proclaim your faith. Does Christ reign over your life? Then share your testimony and your excitement. The world needs both. So we need to be Christians that are excited about our faith. If we're not excited about our faith, we need to go back and do some digging. And we need to remind ourselves of the muck and the mire that we came out of, that God pulled us out of, the messes that God has pulled us out of. Trust me, when you start being thankful more and thinking about all the things God has done for you, maybe you'll start getting more excited about your faith. A.W. Tozer, of which I have many devotionals of his, said, "There seems to be a chilling fear of holy enthusiasm among the people of God. We try to tell how happy we are, but we remain so well controlled that there are few waves of glory experienced in our midst." Barbara Johnson said, "Enthusiasm, like the flu, is contagious. We get it from one another." And that's a question to ask yourself. Is your church environment contagious? Is it exciting? When people get enthusiastic in your church and excited, do they pass it on to you, or do you just kind of tuck down into your own shell and say, "No, nobody here's going to influence me. I don't want their influence. I want to stay the way I am"? Well, you know what? This is a rule of thumb for me. Never stay comfortable in your spiritual position, ever. Don't stay comfortable in it. Always be ready to grow more. Always be ready to learn more. Always be ready for God to take more things out of you that don't need to be there. God forbid we run into any believers who think, "Nope, I've arrived. I'm mature enough in the faith. I don't need any more." Such people are arrogant, prideful, and I think people like that don't even need to be in ministry as far as I'm concerned. But maybe that's just me. Maybe these days I'm getting a little grouchy, a bit more strict. We have too much nonsense out there. Come on, people. Let's get with it. Time's running out. God bless you guys. See you in the next Fast Break Devotional.